All right. Okay, so this is my first time streaming, and honestly, I don't know how to set up a lot of stuff, but I guess that's all right. And I'm not sure if my uh, uh, microphone is working. So it just said, all right, never mind. I think it's working. So, um, today we have a very important topic. I just want to introduce why we're doing this today. It's something about data visibility and how I believe that that's the most important thing when you're starting out or you're just running an enterprise law firm. So for all sort of law firms, it is very helpful and it applies to every marketing channel that you use, right? So um, I just want to start with my own story and how every founder feels when they're just starting out. So, back in 2024, I did not really know what to basically do with my firm, who was my ideal customer. And I was kind of trying to sell anything to everyone, right? And I think that is sometimes a necessity just to test out different markets. But then it also has big drawbacks, which generally we do not understand as founders. So initially, like everybody did, and everybody does, is that they try to tell people around them that, okay, this is how I have started a firm, this is what I do. And maybe if you know somebody, you could definitely tell them that I have just started my own business and I can give them a great service. But the problem with that is that quickly you only have a limited number of contacts. So, say you might have like 800 friends on Facebook or 1200 friends on Facebook or Instagram or anywhere, right? So, not everybody in your even in your circle needs your services. So what they do is they generally want to you know um, tell other people, and then things start get going. Now once that channel dries up, so obviously you realize that, okay, now I have to build my own marketing campaigns. Maybe let's invest in ads, maybe do organic marketing, let's look at into SEO, or let's start a YouTube channel or Instagram page or TikTok channel, whatever you want to do. Now most of the time, because you do not know exactly where, you just have a vague idea, right? So where your exact customers are, you just want to do everything at the same time. Now initially when I started, I created my website first, because I wanted people to see what exactly I do. I built my LinkedIn. I started on, I think, a little bit on Facebook, but I wasn't consistent with it because, except for LinkedIn, to be very honest, because I was constantly posting every day, sometimes even two posts, because I had so many ideas, right? But once you start posting at that frequency, you do not have any ideas left. So you kind of think that maybe you know somebody is posting constantly, they're getting so many likes, they're getting so many views, and I don't even have impressions. And you're like, okay, so that could be a problem with my content, or LinkedIn is not pushing. But actually, algorithms need to learn before they push content, and they need to learn about you, what type of content you're basically putting up, and obviously who's gonna look at your content or engage with it. So that's one thing that we need to remember. However, initially, I did not know that a lot of people who would look at my content uh, would not engage, but then they were secretly, thinking about what I wrote. So I remember a friend, and it was like in the middle of 2025, where almost all my referrals from my personal contacts were drying up, and I did not have any predictable way to, build a pipeline. So I was thinking, what do I do, right? And till that time, I was just, putting generic, content. I was trying to build websites, softwares, and then obviously I was looking into marketing, and but I never actually pitched marketing before I learned about it. So, and thankfully my team is amazing. That helped me, go through all the very very difficult concepts of marketing. So I remember this guy. I did not talk to him like for maybe 10 years. He was my batchmate. He's in Germany right now, and he just came up on my he just messaged me on LinkedIn, and he said, you know what, I want to book a consultation with you because what you write resonated with me. Now I booked a consultation. That business was, they basically, his wife wanted to start an e-commerce business. It was just starting. They did not have a lot of money at that time, and obviously they wanted a service which was cheap enough, right? So I was obviously thinking that maybe if I could onboard them, and I might be able to help them. But when I did the math, right, it didn't make sense, because for an e-commerce brand, you need to have really good team who can market their services or their products, and then obviously they need to have an organic growth. They need to have their socials really well made, and also the website, right? Now they were like, they had a budget less than $1,000, and I was like, I could, get a case study out of it. But the point is that, um, will it help me grow my own business? And most of all, I was thinking that if I, engage with him and I say, okay, I'm gonna take $1,000 and I'm gonna build your website. I'm gonna, build your socials and also grow it organically, and the ad spend is your own. Will it truly help the guy? Because definitely you need to give really good services. It was an e-commerce brand in a very competitive niche, which means that I need to employ really good people, and to employ really good people, I also need to pay them nicely so they stick, right? Because I mean, you need to have a solid team before you promise somebody, wonders. And those wonders can only be achieved if you are sure that you can do it, right? But with that budget, I felt like that I cannot. So I told him that um, this is the amount that is reasonable, and I think that would basically be the right price for my services, so I can give him the best value out of it. The deal did not end up closing, and that's the thing which, well, it was it was strange, but it did not close at all, right? And then another brand came in. So through LinkedIn, somebody DM'd me and said, "All right, I like your content. You could help me book a consultation." And I remember that I made a huge PDF. I think it was 27 pages. And I basically gave him all the insights. I told him, this is where you could, invest. This is the right channel for you. And this was basically a completely different brand. Now, the problem was that after like a week of intense research and the time spent, that guy ghosted me because when I told him the price. And that is when I realized that this is not going to work. I was getting a few projects here and there, but they were not very, high ticket projects. I was just getting a couple of e-commerce brands, some educational brands, some manufacturing brands. And I was thinking that every time I basically talk about the price and the amount of value I give, they never ever agree on that, and they always ask for a discount, and that was the issue. So I realized that instead of targeting a lot of people in every niche, I could just pick one, right? So I decided, without research, to be very honest, that I'm going to go with the law firms. And why I did that, because it has a personal story. I was basically facing a legal case, and I really fancied how lawyers basically worked, and I just liked the industry. So I was like, okay, let's start, um, you know, marketing and development for softwares in law firms, right? Now, I did start, but I didn't know that it's very, very hard to convince a law firm, right? And then to make sure I put in value, I started, putting a lot of new content on Reddit. That was the new social media I signed up. I started a TikTok channel where I would post reels sometimes. And what happened was that I started getting views, right? But no customers from those views, right? But what I noticed that on my Google Analytics, which was set up completely incorrectly, that it would show website visits increase from different, areas of the world. So, but I didn't know where the traffic is coming from because I was not investing in SEO at that time. Sometimes when people, when I saw the views, they were of different countries, where my main country where I focus is US and Canada. In fact, it's just US. I have not really looked into Canada that much. So I wanted to understand that how my, marketing efforts on different channels are converting, right? So down the line, about 3-4 weeks, I realized that I started getting some consultation calls on my website. So once I saw those consultation calls, I had no idea where they're coming from. So imagine a person who has only 24 hours in a day, right? And he's just spending that for building content for YouTube. I had already started podcast by that time. He's building content for LinkedIn and Instagram and TikTok and Reddit, right? And Facebook. So all these 5-6 marketing channels that I was using, and you don't know where to put your effort into, right? So I wanted some solution for that. I already knew that you can actually have an attribution, but I wanted to go deep into it, because let's suppose that you have, say, 4 hours that you've just want to spend on content. You really want to know in those 4 hours which channel is converting the most and where your effort should go, rather than everywhere, right? So when I basically got the consultation through the right tracking parameters, I realized that most of my consultations aren't coming from LinkedIn, neither they're coming from TikTok nor Instagram, not even, um, Facebook. They're basically directly coming from my YouTube and also my website, which we started with its SEO as well. And in fact, the share of YouTube versus the website is almost, it's like website is converting 46% right now, and about 54% comes from YouTube. So I realized that, yeah, that's where I need to focus, right? And that's why I decided that I'm going to go live and I'm going to do live streams. Now imagine if I did not have this data, right? I would still be focusing on writing so many posts for LinkedIn and thinking, oh, because every decision maker or every law firm managing partner or the legal tech operations manager or anybody is on LinkedIn, and that's where I'm going to get business. So that's like firing arrows in the dark, right? So I don't know. The only way I got to know that YouTube is the one that really converts. So my all efforts were now focused on YouTube only. But I did not stop posting on other channels. In fact, I just would post anything I would create on YouTube and then just share it on my social channels, right? Just to make sure that I have people coming from every other channel to my YouTube. And because my content is resonating with some people that I want, they can look at my content and that builds my authority. So that's what I did. Now, that has really saved a lot of my time. And I think if you compare time versus money, I think time will always win, because if you save enough time, you're going to grow your revenue a lot more than if you just focus on doing sales directly, right? Through any other channel. Now, when I recently had a conversation with a managing partner from the law firm, and I asked him, how do you manage your data? So he said, we are working on it. And I said, is it just the data about marketing or is it the other data as well? And he was like, actually, every other data is very important, including marketing, because when I'm hiring somebody or I'm basically firing somebody, I need to understand why I'm firing them or why I need to hire somebody. If you don't have the right data within your system, you wouldn't be able to make the right decisions. And that is the biggest issue. Like, you could be emotional at that time, but if the numbers are there, obviously you're going to look at it, right? So as we talked, he told me that one of our biggest problems is that we spend heavily on Google Ads and they bring a lot of wasted clicks. So I think he was spending around 12 grand every month. And he said sometimes even 70% in a month are people who are just clicking and sometimes not even filling the form. And when they're calling, either they don't have a real case, there is a conflict, or sometimes they just call to book a free consultation and never follow up. So I said, how are you tracking these people, right? And does your ad account really know whether your ads are being shown to people of these sort, right? And he's like, I don't know how I can do this, right? Because obviously, when you look at the two different fields, right, marketing and the software development field, they sometimes overlap, but most of the time, the data business is another layer, which mostly software developers or data science people understand better. Now, I told him that what you can do is you can, first of all, enable auto tagging on your Google Ads account. And what it does is it generates a GCL ID. It's basically an ID unique to any person who visits your website, right? And that ID is the most important because it has all the information about the person that's visiting your website right now. And then what you can do is you can save it in a hidden field, or you can run a script that can transport that particular ID to your CRM, right? And when your intake team takes the call with that person and they qualify, whether it's manual qualification or using Intaker or any other tool, the thing is that ID stays with the contact, right? And now what you got to do is you got to send that ID back to Google, right? And how do you do it? It's just Google Ads API that you connect to your CRM, and almost all CRM support it. So, and if it doesn't, you could just, create webhooks or a custom API through Zapier or Make, and obviously you can transport that. Now imagine this, I said, if there are 10 people in a group, right? And you want to show your ads to everybody. So not everybody is going to be your buyer. And the biggest variable that you may find might be the pricing, right? And there could be other variables as well. But let's suppose out of those 10 people, 5 people cannot afford your services. But when they come on your website and they book, you already have paid for the click, right? Now, for that, you need to ensure that that doesn't happen again. So what you do is you collect that GCL ID and send it back to Google as an unqualified person. Now, as the algorithm learns that this or these kind of people are the ones that I don't want to show my ad to, so it will automatically optimize your ads and start showing to people who are qualified, who can pay your retainer, right? Now, this is the simplest approach that you can do, right? To stop your ad wasted at a very basic level. But then sometimes you also want to learn about things like, say, if you do have two customers, one pays you a lot and one pays you less, right? The person who's paying you a lot might be the one you're looking for in future. So you can also attach a custom attribute, which is at what price they were basically qualified at, and how much did they pay you. Now, obviously, you would naturally want to show your ads to people who are more qualified or who pay you higher. So that could be one strategy where you're now sending their data back to Google and say, okay, this is the person who is worth $50,000, and this is the person who's worth $5,000. So optimize my ads for people who buy the higher ticket price or higher ticket service, right? So these are the few things which help you, but then there are a lot of marketing things that we've learned over the time, that it's not just about the person who pays you higher upfront, it's also about the person who stays with you for longer. So in a small example, a person who buys like 50,000 service in the start, and then he goes away, never contacts you again, although you've given a fantastic service. But then if the other person who pays you just 5,000 and stays for 12 months, so obviously the lifetime value of that person is 60,000. So all of this needs to be understood using data. And if you don't have the data for it, you will never be able to optimize anything. It could be any function within your firm in a good way. So that's my 2 cents, where I believe that that's going to help you a lot, right? So we've talked about the infrastructure problem, we've talked about the data visibility, and this is why we're going to go towards how you can change it. And the first thing you can start is start tracking the return on your efforts on different social media, because it's generally easier, but it gives you a lot of insights about who are the people you want to talk to, who are the people you want as customers, who are the people you don't want uh, to be your clients, and other things. So start with social media and other channels. It's the easiest. And as you progress, as your firm grows, and you have at least $10,000 budget for ads, you can then have a different sort of attribution done where um, this would help you optimize the ads better, and also will help you understand where to put that ad amount correctly. So in the last 5 minutes which I have, when you're starting with the ads, right? So now again, like social media, you have different uh, ad platforms. So you could have Meta, you could have Reddit, you could have X, you could have LinkedIn, and YouTube itself, and search ads and LSAs. There's so many, right? But knowing which channel converts most and where it starts to convert is very important. Let me give you an example, right? So let's suppose somebody got into a car accident, right? On, say, last week, Thursday. Now, the insurance company of the person, the other party, they said, we're going to pay you like 5,000, and that would be enough, right? And you can just stay quiet. Now, as she starts to recover, or she has injuries, she's scrolling through Facebook and she sees your ad, right? As a personal injury lawyer, and you're saying that don't pay 5,000 to insurance companies, beat them, and I can get you a big amount against a car accident, right? Now, at that time, that person might click your ad, go to your website, and then not take an action. So that could be one thing. And then later on, when she's pressurized, or she has, she's recovering more, and then she might think, okay, I have read somewhere that I can get a lot of compensation for a car accident. So what I can do is I can just search on Google. So she searches on Google and she reads a couple of blogs here and there, and one blog is from your own firm, and then she goes through, but she still doesn't take action. She just want to understand how she can get compensation and what are the things she needs to know. After a week again, when the issue is now bigger for her, she just searches about the best law firm for personal injury or car accident, and she found your local search advertisement, right? So now she sees your name, and because in her subconscious she's already seen it on Meta, she's also read your blog, she clicks on it and calls you. Now, in this journey, you need to understand you cannot attribute 100% credit to local search advertisement, because the problem with that is that if you do that, you're basically saying that LSAs are the best converter for my law firm, whereas the conversion really started when she saw your Meta ad first. And then she went on your blog. So, and then she realized that, okay, she has a problem, and then she books the call. So everything that you've tracked tells you exactly where to put your money, right? So otherwise, if you see how most of the firms do, they say, okay, LSAs are working, so we're just going to put all our money into LSA, and then they see a dip in their ad performance. And the reason behind that is that she already read your blog, so that means you have to write good content on your website. There has to be some blogs there. And also, you need to ensure that Meta ads are there. And now you can have a proper budgeting for your ads. So your ad spend is not wasted. In fact, all your marketing spend or marketing, channels are not wasted. So this is why data attribution and machine learning for every kind of business who is trying to scale, and also in the start with minimal attributions, very, very important. So that would be all for today. And I will continue to have some live streams every week. And I will hope that some of these things might have helped you understand what is attribution and how you can, implement it and take great advantage out of it. So thank you so much for joining in. I will see you soon. Bye.